The second on point is about the Trump tariff bomb. Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. India said refiners have stopped buying Russian oil in the past week, says Reuters have not sought Russian crude in the past week. As the battle for assembly polls in Tamil Nadu heats up, O Paneerselvam withdraws from NDA alliance. EC finalizes electoral college for vice presidential election after Thakur's resignation. SIT finds partial skeletal remains at Sikh site in Dharamsthala's mass burial probe. India plans biggest hydro project in J&K on River Chenab months after Indus Treaty suspension. In another, ASK Air India flight from Delhi to London forced to return. Supreme Court agrees to hear pleas on the status of Rohingya as refugees, their deportation. At least 6 killed, 52 injured in Russian missile and drone attack in Kyiv. Shubham Gill breaks Sunil Gavaskar's record for most runs as Indian captain in a test series. All 7 accused facing trial for the 2008 Malegaon bomb blast, including former BJP MP Pragya Singh Thakur and Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit, were acquitted by a special court in Mumbai. Special Judge A.K. Lahoti said that the prosecution failed to prove the case. The court said that the prosecution failed to provide cogent and reliable evidence and establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. All 7 accused were cleared of all charges including criminal conspiracy and murder and sections of anti-terror law UPA. So what was the case about? And the verdict is, which is NIA has acquitted all 7 accused. Prosecution failed to prove bomb was in the motorcycle. No cogent evidence that Sadhvi Pragya owed the bike. No evidence of storage of RDX at Lieutenant Colonel Purohit's house. No evidence that Lieutenant Colonel Purohit brought RDX from Kashmir. No evidence that the bomb was assembled at his residence. There has been contamination of evidence as per the court, and eyewitnesses changed their statements. And again the court said no evidence of money transaction used for terror activities. Court has doubts over the prosecution's evidence. Earlier the case was investigated by ATS headed by late Hemant Karkare, who was killed by terrorists in 26/11. The charge sheet presented by the ATS was different from NIA. So what was ATS doing in 2009? ATS alleged that Hindu fundamentalist group Abhinav Bharat was behind the Malegaon blast. ATS investigations led to arrest of Pragya Singh Thakur, Colonel Purohit. Subsequently, Naba Kumar Sarkar, also known as Asimanand, was arrested. Asimanand claimed that it was a revenge against jihadi terrorism. He claimed group was behind Samjhauta Express, Mecca Masjid and Ajmer Dargah blast. Later he retracted his statement. In supplementary charge sheet in 2011, ATS named 14 accused. In 2011, the case was transferred to NIA. Now let us take a look at the NIA charge sheet of 2016. ATS probe was deeply flawed. Alleged that the confessions were coerced, evidence lacked coherence. Dropped all charges against Pragya Thakur, 5 others citing lack of enough evidence. Rejected confessions recorded under Makoka. Eliminated Makoka charges. So this is what NIA did. Now let me talk about the 2 principals. Who is Pragya Thakur? BJP MP from Bhopal, elected in 2019. Accused in the 2008 Malegaon blast case, accused of providing vehicle for the blast, former ABVP Durga Vahini member turned Sadhvi, known for controversial statements including praising Nathuram Godse. Now who is Colonel Purohit? army officer accused in 2008 Malegaon blast, allegedly founded right-wing group Abhinav Bharat, spent nearly 9 years in jail before getting bail in 17. So he is the second principal. Now after a 17-year-long period, the Malegaon blast verdict has debunked the Saffron terror theory floated by several leading politicians during 2000. So what is this Saffron terror? Congress leaders like Chidambaram and Sushil Kumar Shinde used the phrase to describe alleged acts of terrorism linked to Hindutva-inspired groups. It gained traction after 2007 Samjhauta Express blast and 2008 Malegaon blast. Individuals linked with Hindu nationalist group like Abhinav Bharat were named as accused. Congress claimed it that this is based on investigative findings. BJP called it a malicious attempt to equate Hindu nationalism with terrorism. Saffron terror has polarized opinion for more than 2 decades now. On Wednesday, Home Minister Amit Shah launched a scathing attack on the Congress and Rajya Sabha, accusing it of propagating the Saffron terror narrative.
बंबई का हमला, बंबई के हमले के बाद आज ये दिग्विजय सिंह चले गए हैं। उन्होंने कहा है तो आरएसएस ने कराया था। मान्यवर ये क्या बोल रहे हैं, किसके लिए बोल रहे हैं, किसको बचा रहे हैं, क्या कहना चाहते हैं? और हिंदू टेरर का सगुफा किसने छोड़ा? मैं आज दुनिया के सामने, देश की जनता के सामने गर्व से कहता हूं कि हिंदू कभी टेररिस्ट नहीं हो सकता।
Now let me play out a reaction of Colonel Purohit and Uma Bharti.
I am extremely grateful to the country and all those who stood by me and by us. I am grateful to the judiciary for understanding the case and delivering justice to all of us. I only wish say that during all this fight, all my friends, my colleagues, especially the armed forces, my army, the way they stood by me, I have no words to express my gratitude towards all of them. We are a great country. I expect and I wish that everyone should contribute positively towards it. Malais are over, should not be there. Let's be forward looking. We are a developing nation. We are developed.
इससे नई बात सामने आ गई कि एक भगवा आतंकवाद की थ्योरी रची गई, जिसके जनक हमारे मध्य प्रदेश के पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री दिग्विजय सिंह जी थे और वो राहुल गांधी के इशारे पर ये काम कर रहे थे। पूरी दुनिया में हिंदुत्व को बदनाम करने के लिए इस्लामिक आतंकवाद के मुकाबले में भगवा आतंकवाद शब्द को बनाया गया और उस शब्द को प्रमाणित करने के लिए बहुत बेकसूर लोग इसका शिकार बनाए गए, जिसमें साध्वी प्रज्ञा थी, कर्नल प्रसाद पुरोहित थे और अन्य लोग भी थे। इतनी प्रताड़ना हुई है, आप कभी कर्नल पुरोहित के बारे में जानकारी करें। उनको शारीरिक प्रताड़ना इतनी, उनके नाखून निकाले गए हैं, उनके बाल नोचे गए हैं, उनका इतना फिजिकल टॉर्चर हुआ। और प्रज्ञा ने तो एक महिला जितना कष्ट झेल सकती है उससे ज्यादा कष्ट झेला।
Now, on this issue, let me introduce my guest. I am joined by Colonel R.S. Singh, former raw officer, someone who 2 decades ago broke his silence on this issue. One of the few people who came out and spoke on this issue. Tom Vadakkan, BJP spokesperson. Ashpreet Khadiyal, spokesperson, Congress Party. Smita Mishra, senior journalist, someone who has written a book on Colonel Purohit. And advocate Nikhil Jain. But let me straight away go to Mr. Singh, because one of the few people who had started speaking on it early on. So, was this issue directly linked to the whole idea of Saffron terror? Or is just a botched up investigation we are talking about?
No. Absolutely. To make 2611 credulous Hindu terror, they had to create a background. So they created Malegaon, and thereafter, once Malegaon was created, then they thought that, how will they justify, Samjhauta, Makkah Masjid, Ajmer Sharif, Malegaon 1. So they started revisiting all this. And then, though Pakistan is involved in the Samjhauta Express, they were allowed to go. from the country, leave the country with lot of honor and dignity. And then, did you see Nagori's truth serum test? He has spoken everything. Now you tell me something that did those guys had Kalava in their hand, Hindu Kalava? Was the war room in Pakistan when 26/11 took place? Was there a book called 26/11 which was which was inaugurated, by that man whom I mean, a despicable face. And now you tell me that one army officer, one lady, one 878-year-old man. Oh, terrorists, fantastic. Now you tell me, did Rahul Gandhi tell Ambassador Timothy that Saffron Hindu terror is more dangerous? And then Amit Shah's statement. Time is short, that's why Amit Shah's statement, sir, he's absolutely right. If Hindus had to become terrorists, 5 lakh Kashmiri Hindus were hounded out of the valley. This was the 8th exodus. Not one terrorist was produced. Not one terrorist was produced. And secondly, sir, please don't insult the nation by saying that this guy's she or he should apologize. It's a conspiracy. This conspiracy should be investigated. And right from Videshi Mahila to down, everybody should be put behind bars. It should be investigated. It's a political challenge. Anybody who enters politics, he apologizes and gets away.
No, sir. Wait a minute. You're saying, there should be an investigation. Let me get a person who has written a book on Lieutenant Colonel Purohit. Smita Mishra has done that job. A very detailed book she has written. Smita, you must have gone through the entire verdict now. So is it all about Saffron terror? Was it fabricated to provide an argument for an idea of a Hindu terror? And why was ATS finding and NIA finding at such variance? Smita.
It had to be at variance because it is impossible to believe that men in uniform were torturing another man in uniform who was their senior, who at one time he used to come to their college to teach them about intelligence and how to fight terror. So no people in uniform will do it unless there is either a lot of pressure or coercion from above. However, as I have already mentioned to you in an earlier conversation, it was all done to create a false equivalence because we are talking of a period, that 2006 to 8 period, when jihadi terrorists were running amok in this country. No city was safe from terror attacks. No festival was, would pass peacefully. Everywhere there were blasts happening in small town cities like Faizabad and big cities like Jaipur and Hyderabad and Mumbai finally. Now, I completely, in hindsight, I totally agree with Colonel R.S.N. Singh, whose opinion and inputs I have valued a lot in the past, that it was all a build-up to 26/11. Thank God, one man, Tukaram Omble, managed to catch Kasab alive and he totally demolished the entire game plan because Arif Kasmani was on record to say that he had engineered the Samjhauta blast. Safdar Nagori very clearly agreed that who were the people who were supporting him and why they did it. And suddenly one day, a series of incidents are billed as Hindu terror and then one day it all disappears. There was no Hindu terror prior to that. There was no Hindu terror later. If it is such a serious threat to national security as proposed by Mr. Rahul Gandhi in his conversation with the then US envoy, then it could not have disappeared. It would have had some roots. It would have had a network.
Six window banana kinare.
Till today, Simi and Indian Mujahideen, it's been a decade. But their network is still alive. They are lying low. PFI network is still alive. How come Hindu terror suddenly disappeared overnight? Because it was not organic. A false equivalence was being created to make the other kind of terror look small, look like a lesser of a threat, so that you can tell the world that Hindu terrorism is as dangerous or perhaps even more. And this is not a case of theorizing. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is on record to say it. They allowed a book to come out which said Mumbai terror, RSS ki sazish, long after Kasab had been fought. When that game had been demolished, that book was allowed to be published. Not only published, it was launched with great fanfare with big faces on the dais. When I tried to bring out the truth about Malegaon, I was threatened with court cases. When the court threw out the petition for banning the book, I was physically threatened. The launching of my book in Pune became a police affair finally, with all ACPs there and 400 people trying to get out the venue, not allowing us to do it. What does it all say? It says, and now when you go into the, the evidences which I have written several years ago, the evidence was either planted or it was not there at all. That is why 17 years of investigation, it's not a small thing. After 17 years, they failed to prove Colonel Purohit's association with Abhinav Bharat. And
Smita,
whether that association had anything to do with the blast.
But there, Smita, I'll come to that. Smita, I'll come to that because there are two things here which which have gone unanswered. Which is that who did the Malegaon blast? Who were behind it? These are the questions which now people are not asking because the story is intensely political. Since the issue of parties have come in, let me rope in Ashpit Khadial and Tom Vadakkan. Mr. Khadial, please respond to the fact what Smita has said. Do you think that this whole Saffron terror theory has rebounded on the Congress party? And then I'll go to Mr. Vadakkan.
See, first and foremost, the Bharatiya Janata Party has failed to get justice to the people, to the families that lost so many persons, lost so many dear ones. The fact of the matter is that the court has said that there was lack of credible, cogent, reliable evidence. Who was supposed to give this cogent, reliable evidence? Who was supposed to ensure that crucial witnesses were examined? Who was supposed to ensure that witnesses do not turn hostile? Who was supposed to ensure that a good case was put up? The prosecution. And who is the prosecution? Representative of the state. Who's governing the state? The Bharatiya Janata Party. And the Bharatiya Janata Party, being the prosecution and welcoming the order, is the biggest blunder of all time. The Bharatiya Janata Party is the prosecution. The prosecution challenges the order, does not welcome the order. Where is the moral compass of the Bharatiya Janata Party? What would you say to those families that lost so many people, that lost so many dear ones? We have no accountability towards them. Number two,
Mr. Vadakkan,
very important thing.
Congress is saying that
10 seconds, please. One very important point. The public prosecutor, Ms. Salian, she said the NIA told her to slow down and to go soft with regards to the accused. And in 2017, she was put off the case. She was removed from the case. Why did the Bharatiya Janata Party not say anything about this? Why did Mr. Modi not say anything about this? Mr. Shah not say anything about this? The concerned minister not say anything about this? Is there no accountability to be fixed? And other than that,
let Mr. Vadakkan respond now. You have made your point. Let Mr. Vadakkan respond. Tom, to you, sir.
Karthikeyan, I am surprised that the investigation and the prosecution started during the UPA time. And why was she removed? And who was she supporting? And who were her mentors are still not in public knowledge. So I let the matter rest. But let me tell you something. Karthikeyan, I was active in the Congress party at a time when this plot unfurled. I'm not taking the name of the General Secretary at that time. He strongly opposed the concept of Saffron terror. He was a strong Hindu person. And he said, look, Saffron cannot represent terror. And there was a huge argument between Chidambaram and this particular gentleman. And the end result was, we were all instructed to say terror has no color. But some of us accepted it and spoke that language. But there were others who were pushed into saying Saffron was terror. So this is the turmoil that was going on in the Congress party itself. Because a large representation of congressmen are strong Hindus. And this was targeting the Hindu religion. And what was Hindu religion done? They were accepted members of all community, Karthikeyan, whether it was Jains, it was Christians, Parsis, Muslims. They have lived peacefully in this country. I, as a Christian, can vouch how peaceful this community is. They mind their own business and they look after others when they are in trouble. When during the riots, Sikh riots, instigated by the Congress party, it was the Hindus who gave protection to Sikhs. And that's a fact of the matter. So that community being targeted for a narrative to win votes is sad. And there is their mentors they want to please across the border. And then Chidambaram of late says, well, how do you know this is not homegrown terrorism? What does he mean by that? And you remember the story of Afzal Guru? He was not hung till a particular gentleman left the post of the Home Ministry. It is a clear indication that the entire process was a gang up of the Congress party to create a narrative to bail out the kind of terrorism that existed. You can't turn a blind eye to this fact. The whole country and now the world at large understands this. So let us understand.
Okay,
the
reality.
Tom,
you had been part of the. It's long ago, It's long ago you were part of the Congress, but long ago when you were part of the Congress, you were there for a very, very long time. Did it only stem from Chidambaram, as you said? Because my understanding is the second gentleman was Janardhan Dwivedi, the name you didn't take, if I get it right. But nonetheless, it's for you. But then, did it only spun from one person?
No, there were other people also who supported the particular individual.
Who?
I don't want to take names, but there were other people who said, look, this can't happen. But then they did not have the nerve to come up and stand up. But this gentleman stood up and his communication was not to use the word Saffron. He said Saffron can never be terror.
Okay.
And he fought for it.
Okay.
There were many others who didn't fight for it.
Okay, Nikhil, you wanted to come in? Nikhil.
Absolutely, Karthikeyan. A number of points. First of all, let me turn the tables a bit on this. I'm hearing a lot of takeaways that can be fixed. So imagine in Operation Mahadev a couple of days ago, our forces killed 3 terrorists, right? They did not go through a process of court. They were not acquitted. They were not convicted. They were killed and the nation celebrated.
Opposition and the BJP and ruling party and everybody alike. Now imagine if Asaduddin Owaisi today were to come and say that these people were just framed by the Modi government because they want to show Muslims in a bad light and these people had nothing to do with the terror attack. That is exactly what is happening right now. Did the Malegaon mosque blasts not happen? They did. Was it a terror attack? Yes, it was. Were people caught? Yes. Today those same people have been acquitted. Now why are they acquitted? One could say either the investigation was shoddy. One could say either some wrong people were arrested and tried. One could say, I'm still getting a lot of echo, if you could please get that fixed. One could say the prosecution was faulty, or one could say that the trial court has reached the wrong verdict, and once you appeal it, the High Court might have a different view, and we've seen that time and again. In the Rahul Gandhi case as well, we had Rahul Gandhi being convicted by the trial court, then also by the High Court, only by the Supreme Court to intervene and say that the conviction by the courts below was wrong, right? What the state, the Indian state, which is being run by the BJP right now, what should the state be doing right now? If NIA brought out a case against certain individuals, called them terrorists, proceeded a case against them, and now the trial court has acquitted, what is the standard procedure? You appeal in the High Court. If the High Court again agrees with the trial court, you appeal in the Supreme Court. But what is the BJP saying? The BJP is saying, oh look, now these people have been vindicated. These people were never involved in this. All right, these people were not involved. But who was? You've been in government for 11 years, you've had the NIA for 11 years, and as the Congress spokesperson has very clearly pointed out, in 2016, the prosecutor in the case did come out on record and say that the government is asking me to go slow on it, and she was promptly removed. Where are the answers? And why is it being called that these people were wrongly, put out as accused? I will ask the BJP, if Sadhvi, or rather Pragya Thakur, had nothing to do with the case, Why was she given a ticket in 2019? The fact is, as Javed Akhtar says, the reason the BJP gave her the ticket was because they also felt what she had done. And lastly, to respond on the comments that were made by the previous speakers. So, Mr. Singh, I'm sorry, sir, but the bias in the view that you hold very clearly reflects in the fact that you call Sonia Gandhi the Videshi Mahila.
Okay.
And you bring up the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits.
Okay, you made a point.
That has nothing to do with that. And lastly, about Mr.
Okay, Nikhil, you made a point. Okay, you made your point. Nikhil, you made your point. Let me play out. Mr. Singh.
Can you please get that fixed?
Mr. Singh, I'll come to you. Let me play out the bite of Asaduddin Owaisi, then I'll come to you.
मेरा पहला सवाल ये है कि क्या टेररिज्म के ऊपर इनकी हिपोक्रेसी होगी अगर वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट नहीं जाएंगे? क्या वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को जाएंगे? दूसरा ये है कि मिलिट्री ग्रेड आरडीएक्स वहां पर इस्तेमाल हुआ, ये एनआईए ने अपनी चार्जशीट में कहा। अब ये मिलिट्री ग्रेड आरडीएक्स इस्तेमाल हुआ तो फिर ये कहां से आया? भाई 2006 का बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट मालेगांव का 2 हुए, 2006, 2008। 2006 में आपने मुसलमानों को पकड़कर फुल पीटा, मारा, वो डिस्चार्ज हो गए। किसने किया वो? अब 2008 का ब्लास्ट फिर किसने किया? और तीसरा ये याद रखिए कि अगर साध्वी प्रज्ञा ठाकुर की मोटरसाइकिल पर ही वो बॉम्ब रखा गया आरडीएक्स मिलिट्री ग्रेड, और एनआईए ने कहा कि उनके पास नहीं था, वो 2 लोगों के पास था, रामजी कलसांगरे जो अभी तक गायब हैं, तो फिर ये हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा। फिर मुंबई में जो ब्लास्ट हुआ था 1991 में, उसमें भी एक महिला के नाम पर एक वो गाड़ी थी, क्या बोलते हैं आपकी, मारुति वैन थी, जिसको ना चलाने आता था, उसको आपने कन्विक्शन दे दिया। ये हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा।
Okay, Mr. Singh, you wanted to come in. I know you had to wait for long. Mr. Singh, Mr. RSN Singh.
No. What I am trying to say, I am telling you, did you go through Nagori's, that serum test? Dekh lijiye na, it is on record. You can obtain it. It is there. Why did you implicate these guys when in the truth serum test he is taking the name of Pakistanis? You are a very strange. It was a very strange country at that time. Telling Pakistan, no, your guys haven't done it. Our guys have done it. Then you haven't answered the question that what was the Indian war room doing there when 26/11 was taking place? What was Shah Mahmud Qureshi doing here in India when 26/11 was taking place? Wasn't he addressing the women journalist press conference? Did somebody come and speak in his ears? Was he provided a special aircraft to go to Pakistan? And sir, Malegaon won. That time it was not a BJP government there. Malegaon won. Mr. Pasricha and Mr. Raghuvanshi. Mr. Pasricha held a press conference. He said that by all standards of investigation, we are absolutely certain that these 12 Muslims have committed this crime, this terrorist act. Then how then it was, everything was turned down? That was the Congress government at that time. And that time, Mrs. Rohini Salyanti, she didn't shed any tears. Later on, she went to the police station and there she said, Hemant Karkare's conscience, his soul will be, in great trouble today, all these guys. Who is she? Who is she? She's a public prosecutor, and if you come under pressure, you're not fit to be a public prosecutor. Try and put me in pressure. If you are a public prosecutor and come under pressure, you don't deserve to be a lawyer. Sometime in life, rise above this. Rise above this. You will go nowhere into politics also with this kind of a stand, let me tell you. You will not even become mayor of a small town.
Okay, Smita.
Go back and reflect today. Go back and reflect today. And you think that you can do very well in law with this kind of an approach in life? I'm sorry to say, it is not going to happen.
Okay, Smita, quickly to you. Smita, quickly to you. Smita.
What are you talking about?
No, Mr.
I'm
Singh,
just giving you as an elder some advice.
Okay, Smita, quickly, you wanted to comment.
You want to do well in politics? No,
I
human
just-
being.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Singh, you made your point. Mr. Singh, you made your point very strongly. Smita, come on.
Prasad sir, just one thing I want to add to all the facts that you have flagged. All our friends here are saying that justice has not been served. Yes, I totally agree with it. One thing has been proven in today's judgment, that the people who were indicted or told to be involved in it have been let off, because not even a shred of those allegations which were leveled against them could be proven. The ATS made a humbug of a case. They made a cuckoo case which was taken over by NIA. NIA spent so many long years going into, do you know the amount of hours that Colonel Sahab and the other accused have spent in the law court? They have spent a big part of their life sitting in the law courts because the trial just dragged on. And yet, they could not prove anything. Somebody mentioned here about witnesses becoming hostile. Witnesses became hostile because they admitted that they had been coerced to give the statements in a certain manner. Go and find out who is Captain Nitin Dattatreya Joshi in Mumbai. I don't want to disclose his address. Ask him what he was made to do to testify against Colonel Sahab, and how he was caught up with guilt, and he went back, and what he had to face after that. So to make a long story short, the point is, yes, nothing could be proved because it was not there. Somebody should go and ask S.I. Bagre, what was he doing in Sudhakar's house? What was he rubbing on the floor? What were those explosives which were billed as RDX? And that the forensic testing which was done by 3 people who were novices in their job on a temporary assignment suddenly became permanent officers of the forensic. एक रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए उनको पक्की नौकरी मिल गई भारत सरकार की. There is so much. It is impossible to put it all here. The fact of the matter is, yes, justice has not been served. Only an indication has been given how the whole thing was fabricated. Now, since 7 people have been let off, on whom you put the entire blame, but a blast did take place, people did die, damage was done. Now, find out if these people did not do it, which is proven beyond doubt today, then who did it? Was it done by certain powers in order to protect those who already did it and labeled as Hindu terror? Or more dangerously, was the blast perpetrated to create a story of Hindu terror?
Okay, Smita, I'm just interrupting you for a minute because I need to play out a bite of another principle. RVS money. Smita, let me play out the bite of... Smita, let me play out the bite of RVS money. Another principle. Let me play that bite.
ये तो उनको फ्रेम किया गया. फ्रेम कैसे किया गया? ये क्या बहुत बड़ा षड्यंत्र है? पूरा षड्यंत्र हिंदू आतंकवाद की एक गति चल रही थी, एक झूठ फैलाने की गति चल रही थी, उसमें सारे फंस गए थे ये लोग. और आज 17 साल बाद मुझे निजी तौर से इन बात का बहुत ही खुशी हुई है, बहुत ही मुझे प्रसन्नता हुई है कि हमारे भारत के एक बहुत ही यशस्वी तटरक्षक ऑफिसर रहे, और भी तटरक्षक ऑफिसर रहे, और अन्य लोग थे जो सनातन धर्म के लिए काम करते हैं. उन लोगों को झूठे आधार पर निराधार उनको फ्रेम किया गया और आज वो बाइज्जत बरी होके आ गए हैं.
Okay, Nikhil, you wanted to comment, so I'm giving a minute to you. You had been raising your hand continuously. Nikhil.
Thank you so much, Karthikeya. So, a point was made earlier that, we were living in a very weird time in 2008. There were terror attacks here and there, and we all used to live in fear. Let me give the numbers on that. These are coming from the South Asia Terrorism Portal. Since the year 2001, that is multiple governments, Vajpayee, UPA, and then the Modi era, the highest number of civilian deaths in a given year, the highest number of civilian deaths on account of terror attacks in a given year was 2001, 1,024. What was the figure in 2004? 437, a significant drop. What was the figure in 2014? 28. Figure in 2008? 53. The point that I'm trying to make is, Karthikeya, that since 2001 till 2014, during the Vajpayee era and continuing during the UPA era, the deaths of security forces as well as civilians took a sharp decline year after year. Every year, the trend continued until Mr. Modi came into the fray. 2015 to 18, the figure shot up again, but they've again been coming down. In 2019-20 shot up a little bit again, but again coming down. This is the pattern. 2008 was not the time with the most, with the worst terror attacks. 2001 was, but nobody was painting it like that. And that is how the fall of the UPA government started. Because they just fell victim of propaganda.
Were they victim of, Arshdeep, was your government victim of propaganda? Very quickly.
See, since you've come after a long time, kindly allow me a minute uninterrupted. Number one, the Bharatiya Janata Party has not answered a very simple and a very significant question. 7 witnesses got recorded their statements before the magistrate. Those statements disappeared from the record, never to be found. My question to the Bharatiya Janata Party is, why do you not say anything about that? And second question is, when the public prosecutor said that the NIA asked her to go slow and to go soft on the accused, we have to understand that central agency is executive. Executive works at the behest of the legislature. Who asked the NIA to tell her to go slow, to tell her to go soft?
You had asked this question
the
earlier.
learned judge said,
You asked this question earlier, and
there is strong suspicion.
Nikhil has already made this comment.
But that is not enough to punish them. If the prosecution would not ensure that its duty is done diligently, meticulously, the judge said it, there is strong suspicion, but could not. But that is not sufficient to punish them. Who was supposed to ensure that there was sufficient material, that there were witnesses, that there was evidence, that it was all done diligently? The prosecution.
Tom, let me take a closing comment for you. You know, it's your point. I'm not trying. You made your point about Rohini, I understand. So you're making about Rohini Salyan's statement 2015, 2017. Tom, do you think, because after this I'm going to close down my debate, do you think that this Saffron terror theory was a big mistake? Was a big mistake by the UPA?
It was coined by Singh, BJP leader and minister.
It was not a mistake. It was a cold-blooded narrative. And they hoped like hell that will continue. That was to please their mentors in Pakistan and garner votes in India. This has been happening from Indira Gandhi's days. Indira Gandhi's days. They have been
who also became a minister.
And
the Bharatiya Janata Party's leader had coined this term.
From one
Sri
of the
Singh had coined this term.
Learn to listen. Learn to listen. Learn to listen. The whole issue
to you, but please give us answers.
I heard one panel say,
Mr. Khadia, let him do. Mr. Khadia.
People were killed and there was no due process followed. The story of investigation was the people who gave logistical support to these people who were arrested have identified them. And the armed forces has clear-cut evidence to establish that they had ammunitions marked with Pakistani connections and the names have been identified. They didn't fall from heaven. They were shot. They were neutralized. Because
I'm really sorry, Tom. I'm really sorry. I'm cutting you short. I've really fallen short of time. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for joining me. Thank you, Mr. Barakan. Thank you, Mr. Kadial. Thank you, Smita, and thank you, Mr. Jain, for joining me. At the end, I would say that yes, terror has no color. But the fact of the matter is that if justice takes so much of time, it's also denied because people shouldn't waste decades sitting in law courts to be acquitted. So this was on point 1. But in the second on point, we look at whether Trump's tariff bomb has been a dud because market. They haven't tanked in India, but after a short break.
What are you watching, Dad?
Don't you often say, think before investing in the stock market? So I'm trying to gain some knowledge.
From whom?
That's this stocks expert. Makes great educational videos, gives good investment tips too.
Dad, don't rely on such videos. Do your own research or contact a SEBI-registered investment advisor. In the name of education, some influencers often misguide investors. You will have to bear the losses.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर एंकर टूथपेस्ट, नए जमाने की नई सुरक्षा।
मुझसे नहीं हो गया।
उनको देख रहे हो? क्या संगीत तक ये स्टेप सीख पाएंगे? ये खूबसूरत चिंता आप करिए। शादी के पर्सनल लोन की चिंता हम संभाल लेंगे। With EMI starting at 94 rupees per day and tenure up to 7 years.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कर आता है आगे।